listening to Jonesy's Jukebox, KLOS. That was Volbeat from their new album, Devil's Bleeding Crown. And before that was Ghost, Square Hammer. Lars Ulrich is in the studio with me.
That's right. In the new studio.
The
brand new.
Spanking new.
There is not even a toilet here, ladies and gentlemen.
Not one that works.
Right. They're digging a ditch outside, FYI. Somebody said, go pee over there. It's like, I'm the guy that will take you up on that.
They're not, yeah, they've got major sewer problems here. But I sound very distorted, my headphones. Do you sound distorted?
I think I always sound distorted. I'm sort of used to it. But you sound fine. You sound like you're sitting 2 feet from me, which you are.
That's better. Did you do something?
Yeah, we did something.
You're making out you did something.
Right.
Well, whatever it was.
It's the new studio vibe.
Yeah. Brand spanking.
Can you turn it up? Yes. Can you turn it down? Yes. Can you make it brighter? Yes. Can you? I can do all that.
So, here we are, Lars.
That's right.
How are you, darling?
You know, I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. Rolled down to L.A. last night. Got a full week of fun and games and shenanigans. We've been out here kind of promoting the new record for a couple, 3-4 months, like New York and Toronto and Berlin and Paris and London. And L.A. is the last stop. And so we're here all week. And then our last show, we're playing a little kind of invitation-only show up in San Francisco on Saturday. And then we're all done. Thank you very much. So at least with this year. It starts again in January right away. But then so we're doing okay. We're kind of, I guess, positively surprised at the reaction to the new record. People seem to really care about this record in a way that they haven't about Metallica records for some time. So that's always nice, especially as I think you get older. And I think you and I have talked about this before. As you get older, it becomes more and more. You don't really know how it's going to play out. You know, when you're young and full of spunk and you're going by instinct and you're so just blind by everything that you do and you believe it's all going to work out. But as you get a little older, you never know. So as we've made this new Metallica record, there's a lot of good energy around Metallica right now. So everybody's happy. I'm good. And next week, we're all done for the year. So thank you.
What are you gonna do with Christmas? You going anywhere?
We hang at home. We do the Christmas. My dad's up in the Bay Area, so he lives just across the street. So we do a big thing with the kids and my dad and all that. And then we roll up to Montana. We got a pad up in Montana and go up and immerse ourselves in snow and all things skiing, snowboarding, and all that. And then right when we get back from that, off we go to China and Korea and Singapore and all that. All those cool places out there. So it's all sort of scheduled out. But Christmas will be at home in the 415. And look forward to that.
You been to China before?
You know what? We hit China a couple shows. When was it? 13? About 3 years ago. Did a couple nights in Shanghai. Shanghai's it's one of the great cities of the world. There's a lot of just really cool energy. It's this great mix between, like, one side of it looks like Dubai, like these crazy futuristic towers, and the other side of Shanghai is like Shanghai is sort of British, German, and French, and it's got a really cool vibe there. We had like 3 or 4 days off. It's one of the great cities. So we played a couple shows there, and
what were the crowd like?
The crowd were
not your average crowd.
Not your average crowd, but certainly appreciative in their own way. I think that, and there's no wrong or right way to, obviously, interact at a Metallica show. It's not like you get, graded on this or whatever. If you don't behave a particular way, you get asked to leave. But they were sort of, a lot of Asian crowds, and I certainly don't mean this disrespectfully, but they're a little more maybe subdued.
Polite?
Polite. There you go.
That's a better word.
Polite is a much better word, thank you.
Did they know you were, though?
Oh, yeah, no kids.
Like they have your records and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they have the records, but certainly via, YouTubes or
Yeah.
whatever streaming. Or I mean, they certainly have the music, have access to the music in one way or another. I don't believe there's a big sort of record company infrastructure in that part of the world, but they certainly knew the songs that that we could play. You know, there's you have to submit your songs for sort of
Yeah.
approval, and then you get handed a list of the songs that you can play.
Wow.
And, so we played the songs that we were allowed to play. It's all fine. You don't want to. There's no reason to rock the system, but they certainly knew the music, and they were appreciative. And so I think they were standing on their seats for a while, and it was very cool. And the arena there, I think it's like the Mercedes-Benz or something. I mean, literally, if you close your eyes and open them, you could be in Phoenix or the Staples Center. I mean, it's not.
Right.
It's very Western in that way. So it was great. This time we're playing Beijing also, and one more city. I don't actually think that's announced yet, but we're doing. I guess I can say it, but we're doing 3 shows out there.
Breaking news,
There
everybody.
you go, yeah. So we're doing 3 shows out there this time, which we're looking forward to. So we're getting up to Beijing this time and expanding it a little bit. So it should be good fun.
Yeah.
Polite. I like that. There you go.
Write that one down.
Okay, thank you. Listen, I always, I drink so much tea all the time that I always say the first thing that comes into my mind, and then there's always somebody who's got a problem with it somewhere. I've learned to live with that over the years, but polite's a good word. There you go.
So you're a tea guy, not a coffee guy?
I am 100% a tea guy, yes. Starts early in the morning and keeps me going. That's why I'm so, how you talk so much? It's like I'm just always caffeinated out.
What, like black tea?
Very black tea, yeah.
Do you like Earl Grey?
Earl Grey is it, absolutely. Always got about 20 Earl Grey bags in my pocket, always.
Really?
Yeah.
With milk or sugar?
Straight up black, just
black.
Earl Grey, strong as possible.
What is it in it that gives it that scent?
Well, it's some sort of...
Is it like dandelion or something? You know, it has that scent.
Wow, people are all over LA going, what the hell are they talking about?
It's okay.
You know what? I'm not sure. Can anybody Google that? Come on. I mean, there's some sort of... There's some
like a
sort
perfume.
of... There's something in there. I guess there was an Earl of Grey, right? I mean, if we're going to get really historical about it. There was an Earl of Grey, and he... when they brought back tea, I guess, from the East, from China or
From
whatever.
Boston?
Wherever they got it from, from Boston or from China. There was something that this Earl of Grey put in that black tea that named it. Or here we go.
What we got?
There's jasmine,
and
also rose petals, and a little bit of lemongrass.
I bet the word rose petals is not one that's said on KLOS often.
Or jasmine.
Yeah,
well, there you go. Breaking news.
That's strong tea, though. Earl Grey is a good tea. I'm a coffee guy. I used to drink tea. I find it too acidic, though, tea. It kind of doesn't agree with me, my stomach.
Yeah, I hear that. Sometimes if I'm low on food, I could get a little car sick.
If you got nothing in your stomach, yeah. Interesting stuff. Huh?
Fascinating.
This is good.
Hey, listen,
this
it
is
beats
the money.
talking about the new album.
Yeah.
Anything that we can talk about that's not the new album is good for me, because all I've heard myself say is talk about is the new album for the last 3 months. So tea and jasmine and rose petals.
Rose petals. There's a song there. There's a new Metallica song in there somewhere.
Steve, we're going to have tickets for the show that's at the Fonda, special show. Of course, sold out instantly. And KLOS has a good handful of tickets giveaway that the band gave us, and we're going to give away a pair this hour and a pair next hour.
Cool.
Very cool.
Should we play some music?
Sure.
Let's play some music.
Let's play Whiskey in a Jar, Thin Lizzy.
Done.
You know that song.
That I do very well, yes.
Jonesy's Jukebox, Lars from Metallica, Thin Lizzy. Take it away, son. You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox on KLOS. That was Mick Ronson. Only After Dark was the name of that track. And before that was the sensational Alex Harvey Band. That track was called Sergeant Fury. I think that was from their 3rd album. And we started off with Thin Lizzy, Whiskey in the Jar, when they was a 3-piece.
That's right. Way back.
You did that song.
Yes, we did it, and we still do it. It's actually one of our favorite songs to play. It's I guess we did it coming up on 20 years ago, but for a while we didn't really share it live. It was one of those songs, and we started playing it again, I don't know, last 5 years or so, and it really works now. We play it often towards the end of the set. There's one of the encores, and people get really bouncy and that whole thing. But Eric Bell, who was the OG guitar player in Thin Lizzy, God bless him, came to one of the shows in Dublin back in the day and bought Phil's mom and the whole thing. So we've had some good connections with those guys over the years.
Supposedly he was deaf in one ear. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true.
I can't tell you, that didn't come up in conversation that day.
Did you talk to him from the side and he didn't turn his head?
So when I talked to him from the left side and he just kept looking and ignoring me, that was the giveaway. You may be very right. You probably are. I mean, usually things like that are probably rumors for a reason, right? But ever so nice.
Great guitar player. When they were a three-piece, I mean, even on the records, they didn't overdub any rhythm guitars. And there's a few bands that can do that, like Van Halen can do it, where the guitar players are good enough where they fill that hole when they're not playing rhythm, they're playing lead. That's hard to do. I love that when you hear that. A lot of bands don't do it.
And also, I mean, when they were three-piece, the drummer, Brian Downey, he was a little more, as you can hear in this track that you just played, he's a little more kind of progressive, filling up and kind of being a little more all over the place. And then when they got the two guitar players, Robertson and Gorham, the drumming got a little more straightforward, which is fine. I mean, they made some of their best records, obviously, the two guitar players. But as a three-piece with Eric Bell, it was very unique.
Yeah.
Very unique.
I saw them play down Fulham Greyhound in this small...
Wow.
Did you ever heard of that place?
That I've not, no.
The Fulham Greyhound. It was almost like it was on that pub circuit.
Sure, yeah.
And it was a weird joint. It was like stairs going everywhere, all wooden.
Sure.
And the stage was down there. And I used to see tons of band, but I definitely remember seeing Thin Lizzy when I was, 16. And they was a three-piece. And I always thought it was funny that Downey would... What do you call that when you play that way? With
Side stick.
Side stick.
Side stick, yeah.
Does he still do that? I mean, I think he does, right?
I think he did all the way up through the career, yeah. There's a lot of really good like documentaries on them. There's a great from 78 or 79, like a BBC sort of one of those real in-depth kind of behind the scenes. You know, it always starts off with roadies moving flight cases out of trucks, you know, for the first 5 minutes and the setups and all that. But there's a BBC or an ITV or whatever. But you can see in all that stuff he's still doing the side stick.
Well, it doesn't seem like you can get a lot of power when you do that. Is that a false?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And again, I don't know if he was the most powerful of drummers, but he certainly kept it steady back there and did a lot of really cool stuff. And obviously was with Thin Lizzy all the way up to the end. But you know, some of those guys that got reared on jazz music and so on back in the 60s, I mean, they just kept the side stick thing going for a few years.
It was a jazz thing originally?
Yeah, that's where it would come from, yeah. I saw Thin Lizzy in Copenhagen, I think in 77 on the Jailbreak tour in about a 2,000-seater in Tivoli, and they came out in the first song. You know, I was like 12 years old at the time, and they come out and the lights go down, and the first thing is all these police sirens.
Yeah.
And then they're going to Jailbreak, and I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, I've like died and gone to heaven. It was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
And he used to have his bass with the mirror on it.
That's right. He would hold it up into the spotlight and hit people with it. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, he did that a lot. I was pretty close with him near the end. We did a song together. We did a Christmas song, The Greedy Bastards, which was me, Paul Cook, Downey, Phil, and Scott Gorham.
Sure.
We actually did a single. I'd like to play it, but
is that on your list?
We attempted it off YouTube.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When we came to England in '84, and so we came to England in the spring of London in the spring of '84, and we played the Marquee a couple times, and we were holed up in a small apartment in I think it was like around Maida Vale, And
Yeah.
and so we would go out every night to all those clubs, around Water Street, and go to the Ship and all those pubs. And one night we saw Phil at one of the clubs, and obviously we were all huge Thin Lizzy fans. And just seeing Phil, it was like, oh my God, like he lives. He wasn't in the best of shape at that time, so we didn't interact with him very much. But I think Cliff Burton may have gone up and said hello to him, sort of bass player. I mean, imagine being the third person in that conversation.
Yeah.
But we saw him, and it was pretty cool. And I think he passed later that year. He passed, in 85, 86, something like that, right?
Something like that, yeah. I think he did one more album.
Right, yeah.
But did you been to that museum? His mum's did a museum in Ireland.
We haven't been. I remember when they did the statue. And all that a couple of years ago, but we haven't. Like, Dublin is funny. Dublin is just one of those places. Whenever we play Dublin, we always leg it straight back to London after the show. I don't think I've slept in Dublin in 10 or 15 years. Yeah. But next time we're there for a few days, we'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, Lars Ulrich. If you're wondering who the guest is. I didn't say it when we came in.
That's fine, please.
Do you want some more tea? I see you
I
a
always
bit
want
low.
some more tea.
More tea?
The teacup is empty. It's fine.
Do you want another cup?
I would love another cup, thanks, asking, Steve.
Of Earl Grey with the 3 ingredients.
Jasmine,
rose,
and lemongrass.
Fantastic. I used to drink it a lot. That was my favourite tea when I drank tea, but with a little bit of milk and a sugar. The best.
Absolutely.
And the buzz, it's a good buzz. But it was many years ago.
Now you're a straight-up coffee guy.
More tea. Oh, here it comes. Look at that. Boom. In a proper cup this time.
Wow, look at you guys. Look, it's got little animals on it. Very cool. Well, thank you. Easter. Does that say Easter? I don't know what's going on here, but this is working. Thank you very much. This is way cool. And you play, I mean, obviously we don't get Jonesy's Jukebox up in the Bay Area, so I don't get a chance to hear you.
Yeah.
I was telling you before that my introduction to Jonesy's Jukebox, or the vivid memory that was with me for about a year, was when my now 18-year-old, a couple, 3-4 years ago, he was 14 or 15, and he went through his Arctic Monkeys phase for about a good year. And the Are You Mine video, which you gloriously introduced, which is a really cool video. That was literally, I was exposed to that every day for a good year's time. So you introduced that. So but somebody should get like on satellite or something. Get up to San Francisco.
Make it happen, Lars.
Okay. Hey, listen.
If anyone can, you can.
God help us all. I will do what I can. Absolutely. But sitting here and talking Status Quo and Alvin Stardust and the Rubettes and the Sensational Alex Harvey Band and the rest of it.
So when did you get turned on to that? What was you doing when you was aware of all that glam, top of the pop stuff?
Well, I was so I grew up in Copenhagen, Denmark, and I was about, I guess, 10 or 11.
When it was happening?
Yeah, it was like 73, 74.
Did you get top of the pops over there?
No, we didn't get the TV, but we got a radio, and so a lot of our radio was geared towards whatever was whatever was going on in England, and not just what was on the telly, but we would get like the match of the week, when it was still called the First Division before it was the Premier League, and Chelsea would play the Stoke or whatever,
Leeds,
all that stuff. And so from like 73 to 75 or 6, it was basically for me Sweet, Slade, Status Quo. People like Gary Glitter, Alvin Stardust, Mud, the Rubettes, Bay City Rollers, dare I say Sailor, Kenny, remember Kenny? And
Kenny?
Yeah.
Now you're going deep.
Well, I'm going real deep here. And so it was a lot of that stuff, Uriah Heep, and then I started getting, next couple of years, started getting into sort of the more heavier stuff, like Purple and Zeppelin and Sabbath and Uriah Heep, and then it morphed into Thin Lizzy and so on. But for the first couple of years, it was a lot of that glam stuff. And I'm telling you, I mean, going back on YouTube and looking at some of those Sweet videos from Top of the Pops, or Mud doing Tiger Feet Oh my God, they're doing that
That dance, yeah.
the thing where two guys
Yeah.
are standing
They
in
had
front.
there was their roadies doing that.
Yeah, standing in front of
Yeah.
each other, kind of bopping into each
It
other.
was an old,
Oh,
it was an old greaser dance. That's
Yes,
what that was
yes,
from.
yeah.
Like Teddy Boys,
Teddy Boys.
Slash, Grease, the
Yeah.
rocker ones.
Yeah, they had their
used to do
fingers in
that.
the pockets. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but I know the video.
yeah, top of the pop.
That's their roadies doing that.
Okay, a world exclusive right here, Jonesy's Jukebox.
But
Those were the days, man. That was a lot of fun.
did you get a old grey whistle test over there?
We didn't get any of that stuff. The stuff that we would get on TV, we got Monty Python early, and we got stuff like Coronation Street, and we got
Coronation.
what was it called? Upstairs, Downstairs.
Yeah.
And we got When the Boat Comes In. Remember that?
I don't remember that one, but
Okay.
I know Upstairs, Downstairs.
Yeah. So that was we didn't get any of the cool music stuff. That was more later. I started getting into a lot of like tape trading and video trading with a bunch of dudes, and I would start getting all the old grey whistle tests and the top of the pops and all that super cool stuff a few years, like 10 years later with the VHS tapes.
So what happened then? Then you moved out here?
I came out here I landed in L.A., actually landed down in Newport Beach in 1980. I grew up, so music was my passion, but...
Was you playing drums at
no,
that
I
point?
was playing a little bit of drums, but my sort of the day job, for lack of a better word, at 16 was tennis. So I grew up in a tennis-playing family, and I came to Southern California because I was going to pursue in my father's footsteps to become a professional tennis player. And he had some very close friends down in Newport Beach, an Australian tennis player named Roy Emerson. And his son was going to Coronel Del Mar High School. And so we relocated to Newport Beach. So I was going to play tennis at Coronel Del Mar High School, except one thing happened, which was that in Denmark I was ranked high enough to be one of the best tennis players in the country, but there's only 5 million people there. When we came to Newport Beach, I wasn't good enough to get on the tennis team at Coronel Del Mar High School. I wasn't one of the best 10 tennis players on the street that I lived on, which severely sort of threw my day, as you can imagine. And then I just jumped headfirst back into, at that time, it was Iron Maiden and Saxon and Motorhead, and remember bands like Angel Witch and Diamond Head and the Tigers of Pantang and all that stuff. That was going on in England. This was in 81 now. And I was just like, I want to form a band and do this stuff and play drums, and off we went.
How did you end up in San Francisco?
That was a couple of years later. So James and I met down here.
He was living there?
Yeah, James was in Norwalk. And then we got Mustaine in the band for that first year. He was in Huntington Beach. So we had Metallica going down here in L.A. in 81 and 82. We played up here, Sunset Strip. We played the Whiskey a couple times. We played a few other places. There wasn't a lot of love for what Metallica was doing at the time. I mean, this was at the height of Motley Crue and Rat and
hair bands,
Steeler and all that stuff. So we did a show up in San Francisco. Brian Slagle sent us up to San Francisco to do a metal night in San Francisco. And up in San Francisco, people were just independent and cool, and kind of there was a real like alternative, edgy scene up there with punk and with, hardcore and with metal, and people loved Motorhead up there, and we showed up in our jeans and jean jackets. It's the same thing I'm still wearing 35 years later, and people just like embraced us up there and didn't look at us funny, and why haven't you washed for a week? They thought that was cool up there. So we started playing up in San Francisco a lot, and then we heard about this bass player Cliff Burton, who lived in San Francisco, and we started pursuing him in the band. And basically, long story short, he said he would join Metallica on the one condition that we relocate to San Francisco. And we said that was a 2-second decision. And then we went to San Francisco, and I've been up there for 33 years.
Still like it?
Love it. For Metallica and for the way I view the world, it's the best place anywhere. I love it. It's got a very European sensibility. So when you're sort of European and still sort of have that in you, and I guess you to a degree, I mean, it's just cool. There's like neighborhoods and the culture and the whole vibe up there. And now with all the tech guys up there, they're all the new rock stars. And
I saw a documentary on HBO about that San Francisco and how they're pushing the techies are pushing everyone out of the city. Is that are they
Yeah, I mean,
overreacting?
well, it's good and bad. I mean, like you were saying before, I mean, Silicon Valley, was actually closer to San Jose for the
Right.
first 20, 30 years. But now in the last 5 or 10 years, companies like Uber and Dropbox and Twitter and all these guys. Oh, it's the fire alarm. Time to vacate.
I am a dialect. I am a dialect.
Are they doing a test in the middle of the interview?
Of course they're doing a test.
Awesome.
But so, like, all those guys have moved up to
Exterminate! Exterminate!
all those guys have moved up to San Francisco now. So, like the center of that tech universe is sort of more in San Francisco than it was 10 years ago. So it's great having all these people in San Francisco because they're super cool. They're fun to hang out with. They're part of obviously reinventing the world and all that. But at the same time, the downside is that, like you said before off air, the rent has gone crazy and it's kind of a more challenging place for people to live financially, than it used to be and so on. But it's a very exciting time in San Francisco and it's a pretty small town. So when you go to like a party or a gig or whatever, you end up meeting a lot of these super cool guys and they really are today's rock stars. It's kind of fun to be around.
Yeah, I used to love that one place, Mitchell Brothers.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Man, that was a trip.
Yeah,
that
bad
joint.
connection. I can't hear you.
Exterminate! Exterminate! Oh, man, let's play some music then.
Let's play some music.
We have the tickets to give away.
Go on,
Steve.
then.
Let's do this right now. We have a pair of tickets for Metallica at the Fonda. It's happening on Thursday.
Excuse us. We're sitting here having a conversation. He's
Sorry to
talking
interrupt.
about these tickets.
People, you have no idea how much people want to get their hands on these tickets, so they're kind of waiting. So let's.
I know.
let's-
I've heard from people in the last couple of weeks. I haven't heard from in 20 years. It's
Hey, Lars, how you been?
I remember me. I remember me from the back room at the Rainbow in 1994.
I said hi to you once.
Yeah. Well, the whole show, the proceeds go to the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank.
Damn right it does. Yeah.
But Metallica has given us these tickets to give away to our listeners, so thank you very much for that. We're going to take caller number 25 at 800-955-KLS for one free pair of tickets to Metallica at the Fonda this Thursday.
All right, let's play some Status Quo.
God, that's not something you hear on the radio often in 2016.
How about Never?
Yeah, how about never? Let's play some Status Quo and let's get you up to San Francisco, my friend.
Oh, please, please. Oh, Marin. Or well, I actually like it more up north.
Yeah,
like
you're all the way up in like
Mendocino.
Mendocino,
Really
a couple
quiet.
hours. Yeah, that's
Status Quo. Paper Plane.
done.
El
Perfect.
Grey T. Take it away. That's right. Jonesy's Jukebox with Lars Ulrich. All right, Lars?
Very all right. Extra all right. Thanks for asking.
Fantastic. Now, you're a big Slade fan, right?
That's right. I saw Slade 2 or 3 times in like 74, 75. They had these it looks like they were made in like carpentry class or something. They had these 2 like 3 steps that were wrapped in tinfoil. And so they were play at the KB Holland, and on each side of the stage were Dave Hill and what was his name? Jimmy Lee, the bass player.
Yeah, Jimmy Lee.
So on either side there, they would have 3 steps that they could walk up. They weren't walking anywhere. They were just walking up 3 steps, and they were wrapped in tinfoil. And it was really cool. And in 1974, I swear it worked. But Dave Hill and Jimmy Lee, the bass player, would walk up and down. I have that visual in my head for
like
forever.
choreographed kind of thing.
Yeah, would just prance up and down. It was very cool. But Slade, I mean, that was they were at the very top of the heap for me back in the day.
Yeah. There was a lot of
Did you ever see him?
yeah.
You must have.
At the Rainbow, I saw them in Finsbury
Finsbury
Park.
Park.
Yeah. They actually was a good rock and roll band. You know, a lot of people didn't take them bands seriously, or all them bands we've been talking about. Well, some like Kiss. I mean, not Kiss. Sweet and Chicory Tip, Mud, all them kind of bands. You know, the rock fans.
Yeah. But Slade were different because because they wrote all their own songs.
Yeah.
And they had had hit after hit after hit. I mean, there were these writers, Chin and Chapman, that wrote a lot of songs for Susie Quadro and for the Sweet and all that. But the Sweet, for instance, all the B-sides for all the singles, all the A-sides and all the hits, like Fox on the Run and, Turn It Down and Blockbuster, they were all written by the songwriter dudes. But all the B-sides, They were all the sort of pseudo Deep Purple.
They're rock songs.
Yeah,
yeah.
and the band members wrote them themselves. But Slade were in a little bit of a different place because Noddy Holder, the main guy, wrote all the songs. And he was, I mean, like we just talked about off air, I mean, he was borderline like a John Lennon kind of poet almost in his songwriting ability and his sort of poetry. So that were definitely a little different.
He probably enjoyed it when in the 80s when Quiet Riot.
That's right.
Probably made a nice couple of bob there.
Ka-ching.
Chung chung.
Ka-ching big time.
Ching 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 ching.
What do you do for a living? I go out to the mailbox and collect my check every day.
He said that too. Ian Hunter said that when they Great White did Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
Sure, of course. And they had, speaking of Christmas songs, right? Slade had one of the all-time Christmas greats that literally shows up every year in England, right? The Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Cue that. No.
No, but I tell you what we do have. We do have the Thin Lizzy one with me and Phil, the Greedy Bastards.
Oh, yeah?
Christmas song.
Okay.
Would you like to hear that?
I would love to hear that.
We're not wrapping it. Are we wrapping it up now?
We'll come back.
We're coming back. Lars Ulrich, Jonesy's Jukebox.
I want to stay here all day. This is like just hearing the words "and now status quo" live on the radio.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm going to chain myself to the desk here. I'm not going anywhere.
This is the Greedy Bastards. This is my attempt and Phil's attempt to make out we like Christmas. Take it away. You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox on KLOS.
You're listening to an air conditioner on Jonesy's Jukebox.
Yeah, Deep Purple. Now, I'm glad you were here because we were talking about that. What the hell is that thing at the beginning of that song? I thought it was a jukebox. How do you know that was an air conditioner?
It's just one of those. Listen, is it a tall tale? I can't tell you if it's tall tale, but for Deep Purple aficionados, which I'm one of, that know all the sort of the inside stuff, it was always, that was an air conditioner in the studio that they were recording. So whatever, somebody turned on an air conditioner. Now, whether it was right before the track started or whether it was an analog edition, where they spliced the tape on, I can't tell you. But the rumors within the Deep Purple Appreciation Societies, like myself, is that it's an air conditioner.
That definitely wasn't there when they said, okay, let's record this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just appeared.
Who knows what the hell? But I mean, it's crazy. But very early use of double bass.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing.
Tell us that story.
Well, yeah, he's just doing the stuff that made me want to play double bass, and not a lot of guys, because Ginger Baker and the Cozy Powells of the world and Bill Ward and so on, they had 2 bass drums and would use them for stuff. But the guy that really sort of, at least for a lot of the guys in the metal world, that was the blueprint for that was Phil Taylor, R.I.P. From Motorhead, who did the song Overkill. When he's just riding the bass on, but Ian Pace in the Fireball song that we just heard, he basically did the same 16th notes. If you're going to get really anal about it, that was at 71, and so there's a video that you can see on YouTube from where they're playing a gig in Copenhagen of all places, and they play Fireball as the first encore, and a couple of the roadies, maybe it's the same dudes from that Mud. Top of the Pops
when
thing.
They're not dancing, yeah.
They're not doing the Nancy Boy thing or whatever. But they bring out the second bass drum just for Fireball. The second bass drum does not grace the stage for the first 2 hours of the Deep Purple show. It's only there for the encore, and then unceremoniously it gets taken away again after they play Fireball. So that's 1972 for you. We were sitting here off air talking about why that happened.
Dissecting why that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure anybody has a satisfactory answer for that. But next time I see Ian Pace or Roger Glover, I'll see if I get deeper into it, and I'll report back to you guys as quick as I can.
Why wasn't it there the whole time? Why was it just brought on? Did you ever meet the guitar player?
Blackmore?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him a couple of times. We played some shows with Deep Purple in mid-'80s, and we were doing some of those European festivals, and we did in Germany. It was Deep Purple and Metallica and a few other bands, and like Blackmore was fanatic and probably still is, about football or about soccer,
Was he?
as they say here in America.
Do you remember what his team was?
Well, I think he's up from Leicester. So he's up from Nottingham, Leicester area. I don't know what his team was, but basically he would always have the promoters organize football matches.
Yeah.
And so on the day off between these two festivals, I was unceremoniously summoned to play football with Richie Blackmore. And the word at that time was that Richie would appreciate if he'd like to be the center forward. And so, you know, Richie would appreciate if you would pass the ball to him, so he could be the finisher.
That makes sense. Makes perfect sense,
doesn't it?
Oh,
but
man.
I met him a couple times. He was always, I mean, he was aloof and arrogant, and that was kind of his thing. And I remember the very first time I met him, I stuck my hand out to say, you know, hello, and you sort of clumsily say, how you doing? And he said, if I said I was good, that would be such a cliche answer. I mean, he went into something like that. But Deep Purple was the first band I ever saw in concert in 1973 in Copenhagen, actually with Gillan and Glover, the early lineup. And Deep Purple for me has always been the sort of the pinnacle of all that. So Richie Blackmore and the rest of the gang, they hold a special place in my heart. So aloof, arrogant or not, we'll let him slide. That was also kind of part of his sort of onstage personality, was that aloofness. And in some way, it was kind of, there was an unpredictability and an impulsivity that was really cool. Right. You never quite knew what was going to happen next.
Which is good.
Yeah, which, I mean, is something that certainly is missed in rock and roll today, where people go on time and they go off on time and all that stuff. So that kind of danger obviously is long gone, but you and I both were around when that was still a little more prevalent, and Richie certainly was one of the main purveyors of that.
Yeah. Lars, thanks for coming by, buddy.
It's been great. I'm gonna make this a mission to get you guys to San Francisco on the airways up there in some way, shape, or form. So
please do.
It's good to see you again, as always, my friend.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Thanks to everybody else.
Are we going to play Sweet? We're going into the Duke.
We're going to play some Sweet? Come on.
Lars Ulrich, everybody.
What song is it? Hellraiser.
Hell yeah. Take it away, son.